Have you ever wondered how you ended up here? Think about the constellation of life experiences and people that led you to being in this room or online, in this community, in this sacred time and place. Today, I'm going to offer a series of questions, not so much as food for thought, but as an invitation to reflect on your own spiritual journey and the one we're on together as a community. The invitation includes a nudging to write down some of your own stories. The value in writing, even for yourself, is well documented as therapeutic, insightful, and potentially transformative. However, to get to the transformative part, you have to actually participate. Today's sermon is about living as legacy. How we live, specifically how we live our values, creates a legacy. The seeds that we are planting today, with our choices and actions, will bear fruit tomorrow. The seeds reflect where we have been and also what we care about. Consciously or not, our choices create a pattern, a legacy. Do these choices reflect what we wish to share with the world and one another? The legacy of who we are and what we are creating is a composite of several different influences. There is our heritage, where we come from and what we have inherited from others. There is community, what we are together creating collectively. And then there's the ongoing meaning making we engage in as we move through the different seasons of life. The spiritual journey is both an individual path and a collective one. We are not alone. We need each other, maybe more than we realize. Legacy is not created in isolation, but in relationship. Author and educator Bell Hooks writes, "Community is the essence of human connection. It is where we find our true purpose. Community is where we learn to respect and appreciate one another's differences. Community is the space where we learn to love ourselves and each other. Community is the power to create change." So how did we get here in this community, in this sacred time and space? Let's start with the power of 3. Remember this number. In this moment, I invite you to think about 3 key people that impacted who and how you are on your spiritual journey. It could be a teacher, a coach, a minister. People that have influenced your spiritual growth. In my case, I always say that my 3 children are my greatest teachers. They are now young women in their 20s making their way in the world. This place here, the values of this community, had a big impact on their way of being in the world, both as children, then later in life. I watched and learned as they advocated successfully for gender-neutral bathrooms in high school, wrote an article holding their university to accountability on its settler colonial history, racial oppression, and systemic inequity, engaged in a variety of justice marches and volunteer activities. In fact, after a presentation one Sunday here on the work of El Centro supporting the Latinx community in Durham, they insisted that we all sign up for the tutoring program. They continue to teach me by living their values that were learned by being part of this community. Legacy in motion just by being who they are. This community stands as a beacon of light and hope in the world, a place where we all can grow and learn. I am deeply grateful for how this community has shaped the life of my children. Thank you, ERUUF, for being here. Who has guided you, inspired you on your journey? When we take time to reflect on those who have shaped who we are, when we consciously acknowledge what we have been given and inherited, then we can also recognize how we become a living legacy of that gifting. Let's continue with the power of three. Your own spiritual journey, think about that now. All the people, places, books, movies, volunteer opportunities, relationships, justice actions, classes, travels, music. Of all that you've encountered, what are three key experiences that shaped who you are and how you are? As you reflect on your three experiences, let me share a few of mine. In my family of origin, one of the ways we would mark the holiday season was with a family ritual to sit and listen to Handel's Messiah. This began when I was in elementary school when we attended a live performance at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. In other years, it was vinyl records on the stereo in the living room. It was always a special time, though, to pause from the busyness of the December season and together listen to sacred music. Another experience occurred in 2013 when I attended the largest religious gathering in the world in India called the Kumbh Mela, where millions of pilgrims descend on the banks of the Ganges River. It is colorful, crowded, beautiful, and culturally very different than anything I had ever seen. 24/7, there are songs, prayers, ceremonies, offerings in many different languages. It was rich, moving, and shaped me in ways that I cannot easily define. My third experience is a little more ordinary. A number of years ago, I was feeling overwhelmed with a series of intractable problems in my life. I was stuck and couldn't see my way free. Have you ever had that feeling where life tumbles in and then piles on? I went for a walk and tried to breathe and clear my head. Unsuccessful. I sat by a favorite tree for a long time, and something happened. Not a lightning bolt, but gradually a state of calm and peace took over, and something shifted. I felt this very strong prompting to trust. Just trust. Now, very quickly, my analytical brain kicked in and wanted to know to trust what, or who, or how. But before I went down a theological rabbit hole, I set my linear mind aside and waded slowly into the trust. I could feel a sense of calm and clarity around all of it, regardless of my questions and my objections. To my surprise, the shift was not temporary. The difficult situations did not evaporate, but I changed inside. In services, sometimes you might hear me say to find your center. And this is a spiritual practice that's very powerful. In this case, my center found me. And in time, the issues that seemed to have no solution resolved and untangled. I look back at this moment with wonder. We all have experiences on the spiritual journey that shape our lives and impact our way of being. My invitation today is to reflect a bit on who and what shaped you. These stories of our individual journey can help us connect the past with the present. The same is true of our collective journey here in this fellowship. While there are many milestones to consider, the calling of different ministers, the completion of different buildings, anniversary dates, did you know that in 2016, ERUUF celebrated 50 years? Today, I offer three key moments to acknowledge about the history of this congregation. The first is the decision in the 1980s to buy this property on Garrett Road. The ERUUF ancestors, some who are still with us today, had the courage and bold vision to relocate, to imagine possibilities for sharing the light of Unitarian Universalism in this area in a new way. It is one of the reasons we are able to be here in this beautiful place today. Two, is the establishment in 1989 of the Eno River Fellowship Foundation, which you heard Sonny speak about. This is an endowment that provides framework and resources to ensure ERUUF thrives into the future. After service today, the foundation is tabling, so I invite you to go over and ask questions. Hey, tell me about the good work that you've been doing. Here are just a few highlights of their important work. Did you know that the initial seed funding for racial equity and inclusion workshops was funded by the foundation? Did you know that the fellowship hall had a concrete floor, and the wood floor that's now there was funded by the foundation? There's a long list of projects and programs that have been funded by the foundation over the year. As Sonny mentioned, over $500,000 worth and counting. This is astonishing. The foundation is a living legacy. Remember the power of three? The third example from the long and rich history that has shaped this community is the commitment this congregation made about 12 years ago to engage the work of racial equity and inclusion as a strategic priority, and a call to awareness, action, and growth has shaped this community in profound ways such that it is now part of our identity. Is the work complete? Has it been easy or perfect? No. But the commitment remains to actively and courageously work for racial, economic, social, and environmental justice as we seek to dismantle the divisive systems of dominance in our society to create a more equitable world for all. This work is a powerful spiritual practice of transformation. This is how we choose to be as a community with each other and in the world. And this commitment requires accountability for how we engage this work. In an essay titled "Love as the Practice of Freedom," Bell Hooks offers an important reminder about the power of love when addressing systemic inequity. She writes, "The moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. That action is the testimony of love as the practice of freedom." Living our values is a way to embody and become living as legacy. Legacy is really about how we live and how we love. Our way of being on our own individual spiritual journey, yes, but also in our journey together as community. The way we treat one another, the way that we show that we care, the way we live our values, this creates a legacy that touches others right now in real time and also ripples out into the future. In our journey of self-reflection this morning, remember the power of three. I invite you to now think of 3 things that nurture your spirit. Not hypothetical things, but 3 things that you actually practice that feed your spirit. This could be movement or music or meditation. Maybe it's coming here to a class, a group, or service. As you reflect on your 3 things, here are just a few of mine. Stillness. Taking time every day, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, grounds me unlike any other practice. The early service, the contemplative service on Sundays, is a great way to enter the practice of stillness. Trees. I love trees much like little Maple in our story today. And trees are actually part of my spiritual practice. Last month, I offered a class here called Healing the Earth based on the book Braiding Sweetgrass. In that class, I shared a homework assignment, which was to find a tree to connect with every day for a week and just listen. I love the way the class engaged in the tree exercise and shared thoughtfully about their experiences. And I invite you to do the same. The act of focused awareness and listening creates an opening for discovery and expansion, which feeds our spirit in both tangible and intangible ways. Number 3 of things that feed my spirit is this place here. Conversations and connections with you. I learned so much by being in community here. For example, yesterday I was able to be part of the Inquirers class, where a number of folks are eager to connect here. And I also attended a workshop that same day, led by the Theory of Change team on organizational development and racial equity, that was full of rich sharing and inspiring leadership. I also get the gift of having the most interesting conversations with Reverend Brett. She's a treasure. ERUUF feeds my spirit in a most unique way. My hope is that this community can serve as a place of connection and a sacred space where spirits are nurtured and love finds action. Today, I've shared a bit about my experiences and journey in hopes that it can encourage each of you to reflect on your own spiritual journey with the power of 3. 3 people that have shaped your life. 3 key experiences on your spiritual journey. And 3 ways that you nurture your spirit. Embedded in these reflections is the prompt to recognize that we are already and always creating a legacy with the way that we live. Whether we see this as ripples on a lake or seeds from our deeds, we make an impact just by living and being. What kind of impact do we wish to make? If we wish to do this legacy living consciously, we need to bring the light of awareness to the table. So, how did we get here? And where are we going? Does the legacy we create reflect the values and intentions we hold about how we wish to make a difference? How we wish to be in relationship? How we wish to care for one another? If you don't remember anything else that was said today, please remember this. In this moment, know you are welcome here. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are loved and accepted just as you are. Some variation of these words we share every week in service because they reflect the legacy, living legacy of welcome we wish to create here. I invite you to use this time of reflection as a chance to focus on what you want to create in your life and what you would like to share in the gift of you in this community. In this sacred belonging, we can begin to co-create together the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. What is asked of each of us to live into the mission of ERUUF to transform lives? When we gather and reflect collectively on the story of ERUUF, we are co-creating the legacy we wish to share with the world. You, me, each of us, all of us, together, living as legacy. Let me close today with words from Coretta Scott King. The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of its members. May it be so. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.